The human respiratory detailed structure and functioning. Let's understand the detailed structure and functioning of the human respiratory system, which is very important to understand this chapter here. So, first and foremost is the nose, the nostril. It is also called as the external nare. It is an oval aperture of the nose that's present at the lower end. The presence of the two nares is also dirhinous stage. The nasal chambers, talking about the nasal chambers that are there. So the nasal septum, that's made up of a hyaline cartilage, divides the nasal cavity into two nasal chambers, as you can see. Each nasal chamber can be divided into three regions, and the names of these three regions is the vestibular part, the respiratory part, and the olfactory part. The nasal chamber, talking about the vestibular part, it's a smaller and the anterior part, and it is lined by a hairy skin which acts as filter and prevents the entry of the dust particles, if any. The vestibule. Talking about the respiratory part, it's the middle part. The respiratory part is the respiratory region, is the middle part, and it's lined by the pseudostratified epithelium that acts as the air conditioner and brings the inspired air at the body temperature so that the body do not get a shock. And the third one, that is the olfactory region. It is the upper part of the nasal chamber, and it is lined by olfactory epithelium that's called as Skinnerian membrane. The olfactory part, it looks yellowish brown and acts as an organ for smell. It's because of the olfactory part that we can smell things. Talking about the olfactory part, three bony ridges, namely the superior, middle, and inferior nasal conchae, they arises from the walls of each of the nasal chamber. The nasal conchae increases the surface area of the nasal chamber for better air conditioning. Now the question is, which part of the nasal chamber is lined by Skinnerian membrane? And the options are vestibular part, respiratory part, olfactory part, or is it all of the above? And yes, you know the answer. The answer is olfactory part. Talking about the internal nares that are there, these are the posterior openings of the nose, the nasal chambers that leads to the nasopharynx. The pharynx, what's the pharynx? The pharynx basically comprises of the nasopharynx, oropharynx, and the larynxopharynx, and the pharynx provide passage to both the air and food. Larynxopharynx, it is the lower part of the pharynx, and it has a slit like a aperture that's called as a glottis, which can be closed by a leaf-like bilobed cartilage, epiglottis, during swallowing of the food bolus. Larynx is also called as the voice box, as I had mentioned earlier, or it's also called as Adam's apple or Pomus adami, and it's very visible in case of men. Larynx after puberty, it gets more developed in males and in comparison to females. Because of this very reason, males have a deeper voice. Larynx is supported by four cartilage which prevents its collapsing. These cartilages are as follows: cricoid 1, thyroid 1, arytenoid 2, cartilage of Santorini 2. Now this is the respiratory structure, the respiratory system structure that is there. You could see the larynx, the laryngeal, the epiglottis along with the laryngeal chamber, the cartilage of Santorini, thyroid plate, the false vocal cord, the arytenoid cartilage, true vocal cord, the cricoid cartilage, the tracheal cartilages, and the trachea. Now talking about the thyroid cartilage, which is there. So it is single in number. It's the hyaline cartilage. It is so thyroid cartilage is the largest, it's the largest in size, and it is C-shaped cartilage which supports the anterior and the lateral side of the upper part of the larynx. It is a single in number, so again, not talking about the second type of cartilage, that is cricoid cartilage. Cricoid cartilage is again a single in number, the hyaline cartilage, and it is somewhat smaller or thicker and a complete ring or collar-like cartilage around the larynx behind the thyroid cartilage. The cricoid cartilage is broad dorsally and narrow ventrally. Now talking about the third one, that is the arytenoid cartilage. There are two pyramid-shaped cartilages made of hyaline cartilage. You could see over here the pyramidal cartilage. Arytenoid cartilage is the smallest cartilage which supports the posterior wall of the upper part of the larynx. Now talking about the cartilage of Santorini. Cartilage of Santorini, each arytenoid terminates in front in the swollen knob that's called as the cartilage of the Santorini, that is the elastin cartilage.